Kia ora. This is five Penguin classics to spin Beyblades to. So, sort of a very vague idea, but here we go. So, the first one is Republic by Plato. I feel like Socrates in Republic would have been spinning Beyblades with the Athenians as they discuss philosophy and the ideal society and city state. I feel like that's the kind of situation where you and your friends would be spinning some Beyblades, discussing some philosophy. Um, yeah, so it's Republic. It's very to describe it as a very insightful, quite clear, but at times it can be a little difficult to follow where the thread of the argument is going, but it is relatively accessible. It is also one of the foundational works of Western philosophy, so it's a pretty good read. But yeah, I reckon Plato and his homies would have been spinning Beyblades. So that's the first one. And then the second one is the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. So Lao Tzu would have definitely been spinning Beyblades his uh, with his contemporaries, and yeah, this guy seems like he'd be into Beyblades, and sort of the ideas of the Tao, and or I guess an approximation could be the way, and it's lot about opposites, a lot about um, it's lots of nuggets of wisdom. Although this text is somewhat um, damaged, not this book itself, but the actual like Tao Te Ching or Tao Te Ching is slightly corrupted over the years as it's been transmitted, but it still has got great one liners, great pieces of poetry, and a lot of timeless wisdom, a lot of good ideas in this one. It sort of illuminates your mind, but also kind of it's like take a step back, um, trying to do everything, trying to like overcome and conquer is not necessarily the way of the Tao, and it's a lot of sort of becoming more sagely, becoming more worldly, but also becoming more supple. And there's a lot of metaphors like softness and yeah, it's quite metaphorically dense. So that's the Tao Te Ching. But yeah, Lao Tzu would have definitely been spinning Beyblades. That's for sure. Um, then the next one, we got the Epic of Gilgamesh. So Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh was 100% spinning Beyblades back in ancient Sumeria, with um, I'm trying to remember who's the double. It doesn't really matter. Kainu, Kainu. I think Kainu and Gilgamesh would have been spinning Beyblades. But yeah, this is probably the oldest story, definitely the oldest epic that we have, and the oldest surviving epic. It's a very old story. Like the story dates back to about 5,000 years ago. Um, although existing manuscripts date anywhere between 5,000 to 3,000 years ago, so it's pretty old. It's surprisingly well like readable. It's very repetitive. A lot of these old texts are sort of more in the oral tradition of a lot of repetitive motifs and repetition of phrases to really hammer home themes. Um, but it definitely there's a lot of timeless wisdom, and it's a good story. It's got surprisingly, it's sort of like the MCU where there's like spin-off tablets which cover certain events in more detail, and it also ties into kind of broader ancient Middle Eastern philosophy and ideas. So you got, yeah, it's very influential, but also a lot of the the ideas in this were transmitted throughout time and can be seen in ancient Middle Eastern and Mediterranean cultures. So yeah, that's the Epic of Gilgamesh. Um, Something a bit more recent, we've got Metamorphosis and Other Stories. Um, Again, Franz Kafka would have been spinning Beyblades. Uh, he might not have had much time because he was working. He was working and writing in his spare time, but he also did swimming. And if Beyblades existed, he would have been spinning Beyblades. So this is very um the word to describe it is Kafkaesque, but that's a bit circular describing Kafka as Kafkaesque because it doesn't really get to what he is. It's just describing him as himself. But it's very logical. It's very dreamlike. The characters are trapped in systems or um, in systems of their that they can't fully comprehend, but they're sort of trying to navigate them. This has a lot of short stories which show the breadth of Franz Kafka's style, and it's not just like man wakes up as an insect. It's also the short stories show a surprising breadth, including a first-hand account of um, of airplanes and fragments of this the Stoker and other stories. There's a lot of short stories, a lot of ideas, very concisely written. It's crackling. It's got this energy to the prose where it's got this vim and vigor, but at the same time very like reserved and um, sometimes not assured of itself, but in a very powerful voice. They might not even be aware how um, of how clear it can come through. Um, yeah. So Franz Kafka would have been spinning Beyblades, and then that leaves us with the last one, and we've got Natsumi Soseki's Kokoro. Uh, this is a Japanese classic from probably inside Japan, probably the most famous Japanese author. I mean, that's debatable. I personally don't know 100%, but Natsumi Soseki is considered one of the all-time great Japanese authors and poets, and this is very beautiful, very haunting, very much like reminiscing on the changing culture, very subtle, but also very poignant, and really gets to, excuse the pun, the heart of the matter. Kokoro meaning heart, but it also kind of means like an emotional understanding. Um, it is very haunting, very beautiful, very subtle, very wise, but it's very understated, and it says a lot without necessarily directly telling you what's been said. But it's like, there's a lot in between the lines in this book, and Natsumi Soseki, he he's from the place where Beyblades are made, so he definitely would have been spinning Beyblades. And yeah, that's that. Those are the 5 books that I reckon would be great for spinning Beyblades too. So yeah, we'll see you in the next video. And the 5 penguin classics. I could probably make more categories of penguin classics, but we'll see. But these are 5 good ones, and when you and your friends are spinning Beyblades and you've got time between rounds, these would be good books to pick up and read. So yeah, see you in the next video. Cheers.